Hi everybody, how are you guys? I hope you can hear me. If you could please confirm that you can hear me, that would be great. Hi everybody, how are you guys? I hope you can. That was the echo from my preview. Sorry about that. Okay, we have some answers. Yes sir, yes sir. Great. Great to see you here guys. Let me just check my camera too. I'm gonna switch the view to my camera. Can you see me as well? Thank you so much. So now, when we are all here, I guess some more people will join too. I just wanted to wish you a welcome to Dreamframer Photography. My name is Ivan, as some of you already know. My alias is Dreamframer. You can find my images online if you type Dreamframer as one word in Google. I sell images online, and I want to show you guys how I prepare my images for sale. This is the second webinar, and I'm planning on doing webinars on a weekly basis, probably every Sunday at noon. Maybe I will skip some Sunday depending on my other, activities, because weekends are my only free time. And I'm gonna let you know. You just go to my website, dreamframer.photography. There is a section. If you click on the right menu, there is a section News and Events, and over there you can see when is the next webinar. But for now, you can count on me that I'm gonna do this every Sunday at noon. Um, I also want to mention that there is a live chat going on with this video. You can participate and ask me questions in real time. However, you have to know that when you ask me a question, I see it right away. Actually, if I don't, if I'm not focusing on the image that I'm editing, I'm gonna see it right away. And then from the moment I see it, from the moment I start answering, you're gonna see or hear my voice only like 20 seconds later, because YouTube needs time to process the video. And so be patient, please. If you ask a question, I'm gonna answer to it. Also, I want to mention that there is this new feature in YouTube. It's called Super Chat. If you see that little dollar icon in the chat over there, you can click that and tip me for coffee or beer if you want to. That's something new. I never tried it before. Also, some people were telling me that the quality of the video was not really good when they were following live. You have to click on the gear icon and choose 1080p, the best quality that I stream, so you can see all the menus, and everything that I'm doing, so you can see it better. So now, when I said all this, I think we can start. Let me just take a look at your questions, because I see there are some questions. Oh, there are not questions. There's a hello. Hi, Krishna. Hi, hello, everybody. I'm glad you're here. So let's not lose more time, and let's switch the view to Photoshop and start editing some pictures. I hope my computer is gonna be good this time and it's not gonna lag like the last time. I'm sorry about that. I did some tweaking. We're gonna see if it works. If it doesn't work, I'm just gonna buy a new one. Okay. Let me switch my view to Photoshop and let's start. I'm gonna click on File and Open to open a new image. These were the images that I prepared for the last webinar, but because the Photoshop was very slow, we did only one. We did only this image, and this is the final version. They're not very different because the original image was quite good anyway. So now I want to do something a bit more complicated. I'm gonna take this picture. This is a little hummingbird on some dry, it's not a grass, it's some plant. I don't know the name of it. It could be dill. I wasn't paying attention. But behind it, you can see that on this thumbnail that the image is pretty much underexposed. It was cloudy, and because of this whole gray sky behind, the camera tried to adjust the exposure and the shutter speed to the whole scene, which means that the hummingbird and the grass, they are really dark, and you'll see that when I open the image. This NEF or NEF, this is the format of Nikon cameras, DSLR cameras. This is so-called RAW format. Every camera manufacturer has their own RAW format, and that format is the best when you take pictures because it has much more information than JPEG. So if you have that option in your camera, please switch your camera to take raw images, either NEF or any other format specified in your camera. So I'm just going to click open, and Photoshop will open this image in Camera Raw. Camera Raw is a software that is very similar to Lightroom. So if you have Lightroom, you can do all this, what I'm doing here, you can do all that in Lightroom. We have tabs over here, and the first tab is Basic tab. Here we can adjust highlights and contrast, exposure, and all sorts of things. So let's start with that. As you can see, as I mentioned before, the image is underexposed and the hummingbird is really dark. If I click Control Plus, I'm going to zoom and see if the image is sharp enough. Yeah, this is pretty good. I mean, it's not the best, of course. It could be much better, but that also depends on the lens that you are using. Some lenses are really expensive and really good. Some lenses are not, not that expensive, but have a satisfactory image quality. So anyway, now I'm going to take a look at the whole image. Whenever you are adjusting the exposure, the contrast, the brightness, have the whole image in front of you, because if you are just looking at one part of the image, then you might miss something that's going on in other parts of the image that you don't see on the screen when you are adjusting, let's say, contrast just for the hummingbird. So whenever you are doing basic adjustments, just pay attention at the whole image. First of all, since the image is underexposed, I'm gonna grab this exposure slider and push it to the right. Not too much. This is enough. If I do it too much, you will notice that this part of the branch is going to become overexposed. Just look at it. We're losing that. So every slider that you are moving left or right, pay attention to the whole image and what's going on, because you don't want to lose the information at some parts of the image. Now the image, it's much brighter, of course, but we need some more contrast, because if you take a look here at the hummingbird, I'm going to zoom it again. This is pretty good, but we don't really have any black spots on it. And when you add a little bit more contrast, then the image looks more vivid, I would say. So I'm just going to grab this slider here that's called blacks and pull it down a little bit, just like this. You see the difference, how the image suddenly became more vivid. And then, of course, I'm going to add a little bit of vibrance, because it was cloudy day and colors were not really, noticeable. I mean, everything looks gray, kind of. Okay, so now again, I'm looking at the whole image, and I'm going to bring up the shadows to make them a little bit brighter, like this. We still have all the details in this plant, all the details here with the hummingbird, like the feathers and all that. So you see how much different the image looks now. I even want to make this sky brighter, because my idea here is now to maybe make this background completely white and just isolate the hummingbird and this dry plant on the white background. You don't have to do that. I'm going to try to do it. If it works, it works. If it doesn't work, I'm just going to leave it like this, because people who, you never know who needs this image and for what. So maybe they just need a realistic image, a natural image of hummingbirds against the gray sky. So let me just try to brighten up the sky a little bit more with this highlights slider, and then I'm going to grab whites as well and pull it up. Actually, push it to the right. Okay, I think this is Much better now. Let's take a look at the hummingbird and see if we didn't mess up something. This is really zoomed. This is 200% zoom. See this number here? So reviewers at stock websites will not inspect your image with this kind of zoom. They will inspect your image at 100%, which is this. Now let's try to increase the sharpness a little bit and to decrease the noise, because if I zoom again to 200%, you'll see that the image is pretty noisy, right? Let's try to fix that a little bit. So instead of this basic tab, I'm now going to move to Detail tab. Click on it, and the first part of this tab is sharpening. The second part is noise reduction. We have noise here. See that? See those, like that grain? So let me zoom out to 100%, and then I'm going to grab this amount slider in the sharpening part and move it to the right. And you see the image, it looks sharper. Let me push that back so you can see the difference. Take a look at the image while I'm doing this. So the original was 25 because Camera Raw leaves 25 for all raw images from Nikon. So this is pretty good, but look at the image now. I'm just gonna push it to the right a little bit. I hope you can see that on YouTube. I hope the video quality is good enough. When you increase the sharpness, you're going to increase the noise as well. You see that the image is even more noisy now. So that's why I'm going to go down to this noise reduction slider part, actually, and grab the luminance slider and push it a little bit to the right. I think this is enough. You see how well, there's still some noise, but that's okay. There's still some noise here, and we're going to fix that later. I'm going to show you how. But this is good enough for now. Now what I usually do, just in case, even if it's not needed, I usually go to this tab here, which is called Lens Correction, click on it, and then I click Remove Chromatic Aberration. And chromatic aberration, for you who don't know what that is, it's basically color distortion that lens makes, because there's no perfect lens, okay? Some lenses make worse distortion, some lenses make less of it, depending on the quality of the lens, but very often you probably notice that when you take pictures of, let's say, very dark branches of the tree against the gray sky, you will notice orange and green or purple halo around those branches, and that's called chromatic aberration or purple fringing. So Camera Raw and Lightroom both have this option here that says remove chromatic aberration. When you click on that, you will the software will correct that. So that's very important. Sometimes your image will be rejected because of chromatic aberration. And then here, this box here says enable profile corrections. If you click on that, you will see that Camera Raw will find the information about my lens, and it will try to fix the lens distortion for this lens for this image. So let me click on that, and you see the difference. I mean, for this image, this is not really important, but if you have an image of a city or like buildings and anything that should be vertical or horizontal, you might notice the distortion, like let's say horizon or something like that. If you click on this, the software will correct that. So now I'm pretty satisfied. I'm happy with how this image looks like. So I'm gonna click Open Image, and the image will be imported into Photoshop from Camera Raw. So Guy says, what camera are you using? Right now I'm using a Nikon D500. I bought it last year, but before that I was using Nikon D80 since 2008, and Nikon D80 is a really old model, 10 megapixel camera, and most of my images that I'm selling are actually taken with that camera. So of course Nikon D500 is much better, and I'm super happy with it, but I can tell you that the image quality, actually the commercial value of the image doesn't depend much on the camera. You can take images with your cell phone. If people want that image, they're gonna buy it. So okay, so now we have this image imported in Photoshop, and the image, of course, Photoshop places the image in the background layer. So I'm gonna grab this layer, pull it down to this icon which says new layer, create a new layer, and that way I'm gonna make a copy of this background layer. The shortcut for that is Control J on PC or Command J on Mac, but I'm just gonna do it like this so you see how it looks like. So now we have background and background copy layer. They're exactly the same. I hope you all know what these icons mean. So this is visibility of the layer, and this is the padlock. The padlock means that something on the layer is locked. You can't edit something, or you can't edit anything. But I made a video on that, and I'm gonna link it here so you don't have to. So I don't have to repeat that now. Okay, so now we have this layer, and I want to um, change the composition a little bit because we have hummingbird in the center. Generally, you want to avoid the situation where the main subject is in the center, except in some cases. Uh, and I made a video on photo composition. I'm gonna link it to this video so you can take a look at that if you haven't. But for now, I'm just gonna grab this tool here, and this is called crop tool. Click on it, and you will see that the tool places little corners around the image, right? So I'm gonna grab one of these corners, and you'll see that Photoshop made kind of a grid for me, right? So I want to change the composition of this image. Let me see what works the best. Maybe I should do something like this. Let's click on this check mark here to see how that looks like. This looks like pretty good to me. I think I'm gonna leave it like this. You can experiment with composition. And now, basically, this could be a final image. But if you want to, let's say this is a convenient image to put this hummingbird and this dry plant on the white background, let's try to do that. And always remember, designers, actually customers, people who buy your images, they probably want to edit this image the way they want to. So maybe it's always a good idea to make two versions of the image, and one version should be something that looks the most natural, and then the second version would be, let's say, your specific edit, the way you imagine the image. Try not to upload these two versions of the same image at the same time, because reviewers might reject one of those images for similarity. So if you want to, to do that and make few versions of the same image, always make sure to upload them at different times, because some other reviewer will go through it and it will not reject it for similarity. Hello, Penka. Hello, everybody. Let me see. I have one question here. It says, "Sir, I don't understand which type of image I will take to sell on website." Let me just switch my view. So that is really hard question to answer because people sell all kinds of images. The best way to do is to figure out what kind of images you like to sell, you like to edit or create, and then go to, let's say, Shutterstock or Adobe stock.com, actually stock.adobe.com or iStockPhoto.com, one of those websites, and search for that subject. Let's say you want to take pictures of food, although a lot of people are doing it, so I don't really recommend taking pictures of food because there's literally million images of food, and professional, like people who do that are professionals, they do it perfectly, so it's very hard to compete with them. But let's say you found your subject, let's say it's food, and then you type food, and you let Shutterstock search for it. You will see how many pages of food there are. If there is, let's say, 2,000 pages, maybe you want to consider some other subject. But if it's, let's say, 200 pages or 50 pages of food only, then of course you're going to take pictures of food, you're going to edit them, upload them, and put correct keywords, and they will sell. So the main factor is what do you like to do, what kind of images you like to create, and then also how many of similar images are there on sale already. You don't want to compete with hundreds of photographers doing the same stuff, you know. Uh, Hello, Yavana. I'm gonna switch back to Photoshop. So, as I mentioned, I can leave this image like this, and let's keep this layer just in case this is going to be our natural version of this image. And now let's copy this layer again because the next layer I want to edit and make this sky completely white. So this hummingbird and this dry plant are isolated on white. I'm going to grab this layer again, the new layer, and create a new layer out of it. So now we have basically 3 layers, right? What I'm gonna do, somehow I have to select the whole sky, right? And hide it or replace it with white. To do that, there are various methods. You can try something like, let's say, dodge and burn tool. This is if you click here and hold it, you'll have dodge, burn, and sponge tool. Dodge tool is already selected. When you click on any of these tools here, you will have options for that tool up here. So exposure is basically the pressure or how much, how strong the effect will be. I'm going to decrease this because for dodge tool, if you let's say leave 100%, if you just click on the image, it will completely whiten up that part of the image. Here you select the range. Do you want to affect highlights, midtones, or shadows? I obviously want to affect highlights because I want to brighten up the sky, which is already pretty light, right? So let's leave this to 100% and show you what's going to happen if I click here. You see, I'm changing also the look of the plant, and I don't want to do that, right? So let's click Control Z. If I decrease this to, let's say, 16%, then the effect will be milder, but still, obviously, this tool is not the best for this job because we are still changing the plant. So somehow we have to find another way to select the sky. Let me click Control Alt Z, which is step back twice to reset what I did. Whenever you have to select something, there are a few ways to do it. You will learn in time what is the best way for what kind of situation. So from my experience, I know that because this sky is pretty much the same shade of gray, more or less, then probably the best way to isolate the whole sky would be somehow to select that color or that shade, right? So I'm going to go to select in the menu and click color range. So now I have the image and I have this eyedropper. If I click on, let's say, hummingbird, it will basically select only that color. This is probably some feathers, right? But if I click, let's say, here on the sky, see, it's selecting the whole sky, more or less. Pay attention to the thumbnail. Here in this part of the thumbnail, you can see that there is a little bit of gray, and that's not completely selected. It is kind of selected, but it's still semi-transparent. So these sliders here will help you adjust the selection. See, if I pull this to 0, it will select less levels of the same color. If I push it to the right, it will basically select everything, including some light tones of the grass. So let's keep it somehow like this and try to add some tones. You see these gray tones here? There's probably some from here and this corner. So to add more shades, you click, instead of this eyedropper that is already selected, you click on this one that says plus. So you click on that one, and then you can add, you see a little plus next to the eyedropper? You can add more shades to it. So let's say if I want to click here, I'm going to select the plant too, but I don't want that, right? So I'm going to click on minus. And let's click again and reset the whole. See? So whenever you mess up and you click some shade that you didn't want, just click back on this eyedropper and you're gonna start from the beginning. So I'm gonna click on plus, click this corner here that looks a little bit darker, and as far as I see, this is pretty good. Maybe here, yeah, that's better. Maybe here one click, and then adjust the fuzziness of it. Okay, so when I click OK now, you will see that Photoshop will select all this that is colored white on this thumbnail. Okay. Now we have these so-called marching ants. Let me just decrease the size. Actually, I'm gonna grab another tool so you can see better. These marching ants here, they're showing you where is the border of the selection, right? As you can see, I didn't select these tones here, and probably I'm just gonna delete all this to clean up the image later, but let's see what we can do with this. Right now you have to know that the selection is really, how would you say that? The transition from selected and non-selected area is basically 0 pixels, so it's a very sharp line. To make it more natural, you have to adjust the selection to add some so-called feather to it. To do that, I'm going to click on Select again in the menu, click Modify, and click Feather. Usually when you do this, what you want to do is leave feather at 1 pixels or 1 pixel or 2 pixels. I'm just going to leave it at 1. Okay, so you will not see any change now, right? But Photoshop knows that you don't want the transition between selected and non-selected area to be super sharp. It will make a softer transition through 1 pixel of the image. So now, when we have all this selected, let's check one more time, closer look at the bird. We don't want to, select some part of the bird. This looks pretty good. I'm going to zoom it out. And I want to add mask to this layer. When you have a selection on the layer, when you select anything using any kind of method, if you click on the layer mask icon here, Photoshop will automatically make a mask to fit that selection. Okay? So now I'm going to click on it, and you see that now Photoshop added a mask to this layer, and everything that is white on the mask will be actually like let's say a hole that will let you see the layer below it. Everything that is black on the mask will be hidden. So now to show you what I mean, I'm gonna click on this layer, add a new layer, go to edit, and let's say fill with 50% gray. Okay. So you see now that what our mask did. Our mask basically, wherever the mask is black, it's hiding those parts of this layer here. So hummingbird is hidden, plant is hidden. Actually, I made a mistake. I'm sorry. So whatever is black will show you the layer below, the gray layer. And whatever is white on the mask will show you this layer here. So because we want to actually do the opposite, we want to make the sky be white, I'm going to change the color of this layer here to white. I'm going to click on Edit, Fill, and click White. Okay. And then I'm going to click on the mask and invert the mask. So I'm going to click Control I. And now we have, you see those white parts of the image? Those white parts of the image are our bird, the hummingbird, and the plant. And because those parts of the mask are white, we see this layer, we see the bird, we see the plant. But everything that is black on the mask will hide those same parts from this layer and show us the layer below. And the layer below is completely white. So now this way you can be sure that the sky is completely white. To confirm that, I'm going to click on color picker, use the color picker tool, and click on it. Oh, I'm sorry, I have to select the layer. Sorry. So let me click here again, and I'm gonna click here, and you see 255, 255, 255 for all three channels. That means that the color that we are choosing is completely white. Okay, this is live program, guys. Sometimes I make mistakes, sometimes I experiment. You're gonna do the same. Sometimes you do some edits and then you realize, oh, I don't like it, so you just go back and you do something else. So now let's cover these parts of the image, like this floating gray spot here that was basically a part of the plant, but now it's not anymore because there is no straw that we can see. So let's clean that up. So you don't have to really delete this from the image. You just have to edit your mask to hide those parts. So let's click on it. Let's click on the mask, and black color is already chosen. What you want to do, you want to cover these spots with black, so these spots are hidden and the layer below is uncovered. So the mask has to be selected, your brush tool selected as well, black color, and then you just paint over these to hide them. We can leave this. This looks pretty natural here. And then let's decrease the size of the brush like this. Let's take a look if there is more of those. This one, for example, and then this one as well. Here you have to be careful. You have to correct this edge here because it looks kind of smudged. So let's decrease the size of the brush more and do this. And then I'm gonna show you another tool where you can copy parts of the image and just, fix any areas that are kind of weird looking. Let's do this and this one a little bit. I hope you can see all this because these are just nuances of gray, and if your monitor is not really calibrated, then it might be hard to see what I'm doing now, but I hope you can see that. We pretty much cleaned it and it looks pretty nice. So let's just fix this little part here that is kind of blurry. Okay. To do that, now I have to select the actual layer, not the mask. And just pull down the chat to see if there are any questions. Sir, can I pick two or more than two images and manipulate or edit? Then yes, you can do that. Of course, you can. I have some images that are created out of 2 or 3 images, and I sell them, of course. Let me show you how to fix this. Okay. To move the image, the easiest way to move the image is to press this space bar, and then your cursor turns into this little hand. Then you just click with the mouse and just pull image left, right, up, down. So press space bar. Whatever tool you have selected, just press space bar and move the image around. That's the easiest and quickest way. So now I'm going to click on this tool. This tool is called Clone Stamp Tool. Okay, so this one. I'm going to decrease the size of it. And what I want to do is be on this layer, and the best way to do it is to click a new layer, select that layer. It's already selected because it has these white corners around, and then here in the tool options it needs to be checked. What needs to be checked is all layers. So now the tool will look what you actually see on this image and copy that in this layer here. So now I have to take a sample of this branch by clicking on Alt or Option. The cursor turns into this. I'm going to click here on this edge. Now we took a sample of this part, and you see we can carry that sample anywhere around. So what I want to do is actually I'm going to click here, and I'm going to cover this a little bit, just like this. Okay. Now, to avoid repeating patterns, because this tool tends to make repeating patterns. For example, you see this here? It's the same like this one here. You want to avoid that generally. Just go make this tool smaller, the brush smaller, click on some other part, click on Alt, take a sample from some other part, and cover whatever looks the same like the pattern, the original pattern. So now nobody will notice that this is some, corrected branch or whatever. Okay, let's zoom out. And the only thing that I'm noticing now is if you take a look at these branches on the right side, you see kind of bluish halo to them, right? And that's because of the lens. That's a little bit of, it's not really color fringing because there are no two colors, like two different colors on two sides. But anyway, the image, the reviewer might think that this has to do with something to do with the color fringing. So I'm gonna fix that. I'm gonna show you how. I'm gonna create a new layer, right? And then I want to color this to give it a hue, the same hue as the rest of the plant. So this kind of brownish orange hue. To do that, I'm gonna click on Color Picker and select one of the colors here. See this little square changes wherever you click. It selects that color. So I'm going to click here to select this brown color. And now, what I want to do, I'm going to keep it zoomed so you can see better. We have this new layer, and the layer is in normal mode. I made 3 or 4 videos on Photoshop layers and how they work and these blend modes as well. So I'm going to link one of those videos and then you can see the next one and the next one. So when this webinar is over, you're going to have the link to that video so you can understand how these color modes work. But for now, I'm just going to tell you that I'm going to click on Hue color mode. And what this does is if you paint anything on this layer with any color, it will change those parts of the image to that hue. So now we have this bluish hue here, but if I get my brush and I have this selected color from another part of the plant, if I paint over it, I will change the hue of this branch to the hue, like the expected hue, right? So of course the rest of the image around the branch is not changing because you can't really change the hue of white color. It's always going to be white. So let me zoom out now and increase the size of the brush so I can do this faster. You don't really have to be careful when you're doing this. Okay, here a little bit. So everywhere where you see the weird hue or weird color, unexpected, you can do this. Okay. And now if you really want to, I don't know, to make this bird stand out a bit more, you can also make a circular selection and blur the rest of the image and leave this sharp, but I don't want to do that, so I'm just going to leave the image like this. Right now I'm happy with the image. I'm going to click on File, add some information to it. So click on File Info, and I'm going to add the title of the image. I don't know which species of hummingbird this is. It looks like Anna's hummingbird, but I'm not going to guess. So I'm just going to say hummingbird on a dry, mm, let's say, well, plant, a dry plant. And the description will be something with more details like hummingbird standing on, on a dry plant against uh, against white background. Against white background. Count the words in the description because few websites don't allow descriptions that have less than 7 words. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, we're good. The next thing is copyright status. This is a copyrighted image. Whatever image you take is copyrighted. Remember that you own the copyright. Just put your copyright notice. Is it your alias or your name or whatever you want to use? And I'm not going to do keywords because, as some of you know, keywords are done in, I do keywords in another software. It's a free software. It's called Xpix. So for now, I'm just going to click OK. OK. And go to File, Save As, and save this image. I'm going to give it a name, hummingbird on a plant, and save it as PSD file. PSD file is Photoshop file. It keeps all the layers, all the editing that you did. Save. Okay. So now we have our original image, the full size of the image, the maximum size that we wanted to use. But for sale, I always decrease the size of my images to 6.3, 6.4, 6.5 megapixels because I realized that when you resize the image looks sharper, first of all, then you kill some of the noise if there is any. And then most people buy subscriptions on stock websites, so you will get the same money if you sell extra large image or extra small image. So most of the people do that, and I get more images accepted when I resize them, because if you just upload the full size of the image, the reviewers might notice, that the image is not super sharp or has some noise and stuff like that. So I always do resize my images. Let me just open the calculator here. Calculator. I'm going to keep it here. And let's go to the menu, image size, and see how big this image is. So the width of this image, you have to have pixels here, remember that. So the width of this image is 4072 pixels, and the height is 3200 pixels. So let me get my calculator, and I'm going to multiply these two numbers. Times equals 13 megapixels, around 13 megapixels. So I can decrease this to, let's try 2000. I can already see that this is less than 6 megapixels. So let's say 2400. This is going to be a bit more. Let's check it out. Times 7 megapixels, of course. Let's decrease this, like something like this, maybe. Times, oops. Oh yeah. Now this is too small. I guess this is gonna be the perfect number. Times. Yes, that's okay. I'm gonna leave it like this. Okay. Now the image is resized. If you zoom to 100%, you can see that the image looks sharp enough. Looks really nice. There's no noise, right? But now I don't want to save again PSD file. I want to save only JPEG version in case this image gets rejected, or I want to, let's say, re-edit again and do some changes. Then I want to keep the biggest file size that I have, and we already saved that. So I'm just going to save the JPEG version. I'm going to go to File, Save As, and click JPEG, and we already have the name, Hummingbird on a Plant, and click Save. The quality should be somewhere from 10 to 12. I always keep it at 12 just in case. Just click OK and save. So now we saved our JPEG image, and the next step is keywording. Let me just take a look at the chat and see what are the questions, if there are any. Okay, it says, sir, if I sell an image of a model, then can I control the user to not use in bad purpose? Most of the websites, if not all, have the option to uncheck if you don't want your images to be used in sensitive subjects like drugs, gambling, adult websites, and stuff like that. However, really, I mean, whenever you put your images online, you can't control them really. Even if you share your images with just friends on Facebook, somebody could download that image and share it, and people could do whatever they want with them. So legally, yes, you can. I mean, if you uncheck that checkbox that says use my images in sensitive, like for sensitive subjects, you have some kind of control, or at least you told them not to do that. If they do that and you find out, you can probably sue them or something like that. But you know, this is the era of internet, and you don't really have control over anything you put online. So the best thing is that if you are taking pictures of models, just don't take provocative images, or don't make images that will give ideas to other people, you know, to use them in purposes like that. Um, Another question from one of my brothers on Balkans is, hi Ivan, I have a question for you. Um, how to prove that the person we took a picture of um, is accepting for their images to be sold as commercial images. Well, this is the thing. When you are taking pictures of somebody and you want to sell them as commercial images, what most people do, you have to give them the paper to sign, like a contract. It's called the model release. You probably know about that. So when they sign that model release, basically their signature serves as a proof that they allowed you to sell their images in commercial purposes. That's the only way. That's about it. I mean, if you want to sell their images without their signature, then you can't sell them for commercial projects. You can just sell them for editorial projects, which is like newspaper, informational websites, and stuff like that. I hope that helps. So now, since we saved this image as JPEG version, I'm going to turn on XPix and do keywording and upload this image to the websites where I sell them. So let me switch to my screen over here again. I'm gonna turn off Photoshop because I don't want my computer to start lagging again. It's asking me if I want to save PSD file again. I don't want to save it because I decreased the size of the image. So I'm gonna click no. And I'm gonna turn on XPix. So this is XPix. We just click add files. XPix is awesome for keywording images because it browses stock websites and actually shows you keywords for most popular images, so you can use those keywords as well. So let me find my image. It's over here. Okay, click open, click start import, and you can see that XPix already recognized my description that I put in Photoshop and also recognize the title. So the only thing that we have to add now is keywords. To do that, I'm going to click on suggest, and over here you can select one of these three websites or your local files uh, for the software to scrape for keywords. I always keep Shutterstock as a choice because Shutterstock is my best seller, so I want to rank there good. So what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna click here and type the main keywords for my image, and those are obviously hummingbird and let's say plant. I'm not gonna type dry plant because I doubt I'm gonna have a lot of results. Okay. Okay, we have more results here. See, these images are beautiful. Some illustrations as well, but my image is not an illustration, so that is not gonna work for me. I'm not really happy with the choice, so I'm gonna change the keywords to, let's say, instead of plant, I'm gonna put branch and click search again. Okay, this is much better. Most of the images are not isolated on white, and that's a good thing, which means that people might use my image more because it's pretty unique, right? But let's choose images that are closer to the top and similar to mine. Like, for example, this one. When I click on it, you'll see that XPix already adds all the keywords for this image, and there's 20 of them. Then this one. Then this one. And maybe add something like this. Something like this. And that's plenty. We have 27 keywords that are overlapping between all these images and 45 keywords to add if we want to. The maximum for most of the websites is 50, so be careful about that. Let's go through these suggested keywords and see what works for our image. Small, green, not really green. We don't have any green, right? Tropical, okay, that could pass. Avian, yes. Rufus, I know that's a species of the hummingbird. I'm just gonna click X on that to delete it because I'm not sure about the species of this hummingbird. Nature, feather, bird, branch, colorful. Okay, the hummingbird is colorful. Beak, humming, small, tropical, avian, fauna. Oh, wildlife, hummingbird, nature. Okay, I skipped that. Beautiful animal, close up. Not really, not really close up. Wing, not really, because if the bird was flying, that would be okay. Outdoors, bright, America, perched, colibri, that's a Spanish word for hummingbird. High Mirada, natural, perched, delicate. Okay, that's all okay. And then let's say violet. Yeah, there's some, I wouldn't really say violet. But okay, it's close. Birding, garden, branches. Helena hummingbird, that's a species. Fowl, not really. Eye, chin, fast. Yeah, the bird is fast, but do we really want to add that? Because the bird is not flying here, but it's a fast flyer. Okay, let's just click on that too. Feathers, color, flower. This is a species. Backyard, not really. We have a white background. Background, that's okay. Fragile, yes. Tiny, yes. Colorful, yes. Shiny, yes. Twig, yes. Violet ear, I'm not sure. Costa, that's also a species, I'm not sure. This is also okay. Iridescent. One, it's a one bird. It's cute. I don't know if it's a male. I don't know if it's young. Verde, that's green in Spanish. Staring. Let's say the bird is staring at me. Bird watching. Birds. Close up, not really. Perching, okay. Beauty, okay, that's good. Green, not really. Close up, wing. Okay, we have 43 keywords. I'm going to click Add Suggested Keywords and close. Now we have all these keywords here. Some of the keywords are underlined red because the software recognizes when you have the wrong spelling. In this case, both these words are not spelled wrongly. This is a Spanish word, and many other countries also use the word colibri for hummingbird, so that's okay. And then colorful with U is British spelling of colorful. We probably have colorful, yeah, we have it here. So that's okay, you can leave this, it's okay. And let's add some more keywords because obviously we have a bird isolated on white background. So we have to add white isolated, and let's say against, because it's isolated against white background. And maybe we can even change, yeah, we have against in the description, so that's fine. And I think 64 is completely fine. Let's add dry plant. Okay, we have 48, that's plenty. So now I think we can just save this, click save. Oh yeah, I have to select the image first. Okay, select, save, and click start export. So now Xpix saved these keywords with your image, and the image is ready to be uploaded. So I'm going to click on upload button. You can also have like 5 images here. That's completely fine. Upload, and I already have set up all the websites where I sell images here. So I'm just going to click start upload, and the image will be uploaded to all of these. However, if you don't have this set up, any website where you're selling images has instructions for FTP upload method. So just go there, find that, and enter that information here. Host, username, password, and that stuff. It's the same. This is basically FTP uploader. So I'm just gonna mark all these, right? And click start upload. And the image will be uploading. So we have just a couple of minutes more for some other questions if you guys have. I'm gonna switch to my camera. We did one image again, but I'm really trying to do this super slow so you can understand every step. And if I was just, of course you're not gonna preparing one image the whole hour because that would be like a waste of time. But since I have to think what I'm gonna tell you and think about all the stuff that I'm usually doing automatically, like click Control J to copy the layer, press spacebar to move the image. Of course, you don't do that while you're editing your images, so it's much faster when you do it. So now, any questions, guys, in these last couple of minutes? Feel free to ask. In the meantime, I'm gonna switch back to my display and just show you how we have this bar full and it says one warning, and if you click on that it says keywords have spelling errors. I already explained that. There are no actually spelling errors, it's just British spelling of colorful and Spanish word for hummingbird. Description contains some of the keywords. That's because we have against white background and against white background in both keywords and description. And the title contains some of the keywords, of course, hummingbird and that stuff. That's okay, that's completely okay. Okay, going back to chat. It says, you're welcome, Penka Bojcheva. I have a question, sir. Can you make a video on Photoshop shortcut? I mean, I could make a video on that, but I don't think it's really needed because you have all that on Adobe website. You have it all over the internet. Just search for Adobe shortcuts and you will find, I'm sure you will find tons of videos on YouTube about it. You will find pages, lots of pages on the internet about it too. Dylan Dog says, can I upload cut out photos but with the white background? Can I upload cut out photos JPEG file? I'm not sure what you mean, but this is basically the only thing that you can do is upload JPEG versions, and in JPEG you can't really do a cutout. If you mean that in PNG images you can have a transparent background, but JPEG doesn't allow that. So the only thing is to make your subject against the white background, and that's quite good. And then Olga says, hi Ivan, could you tell us how many photos do you download every month and how many get sold monthly? Oh, that's a hard question, really. It's hundreds of photos a month, and recently I'm not uploading much because I have a regular work. I have another small business that I run. I do this for you guys, and honestly, recently I'm not uploading many images, but when I was doing that just as hobby, aside from my regular work, I was usually uploading 10 to 20 images a week. However, you can get much more serious with it. You can upload 4 or 5 images a day. That's plenty, or maybe 10 images a day. And very soon you're gonna build up your portfolio and you're gonna start selling fast. So tell which type of images you sell. Well, I sell landscapes, I sell cityscapes, I sell some people doing something, but I'm not paying for models. I never wanted to do that. All of my models in my images are my son or my parents or my friends. And those images also sell well because many websites, many magazines want to show the real life images of people doing stuff and not models paid to do it, you know. So you can always find a subject that suits best to you. My best sellers are usually tourist places like cities and beaches and stuff like that. You are really great, man. I wish I had brother like you. Thank you, Dylan Dog. Thank you so much. Okay, guys, I think this is it for today. Hopefully, well, I can't see you next week, but we'll schedule probably in 2 weeks. We're gonna schedule another webinar. In the meantime, write to me, subscribe if you want more videos like this. If you haven't subscribed yet, press the like button and share the information about me. And thank you so much for joining. See you soon. Bye.